get into it here. It's almost 5.
So Neil, you were saying kerosene's up 7 cents? Was that?
What's that?
Was Neil saying the cost of kerosene's gone up or something?
No, we weren't talking about kerosene. We know that's over $7.
Over $7?
Yeah, I think somebody said they paid $7.40.
Huh.
Yeah. But we can get diesel out at the Tenny Mountain Country Store for $5. And gas is $3.25.
Yeah, no, it's, well, not in
If you
Plymouth.
have any reason to go out
No,
there,
not in Plymouth. What is up with that?
well, they have good pizza.
Where, at Irving?
No, I'm talking about Tenny Mountain Country Store,
Oh, okay.
the skeet out at the bottom of Tenny.
Right. Gotta
The
go to
Irving?
Meredith,
Scott tried
104.
to fix the clock, and now I'm confused.
21 the other day.
Call the meeting to order. Scott, can you lead us in the pledge?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get to minutes, Ted, are you on Zoom? He was. No, he's gone.
Will's
All right,
just
well,
dropped out.
We'll check with him when he comes back. We just need him to state that he's the only one in the room and all those sorts of things. But with that on hold, let's move to minutes.
Jeez, where's Ted when you need him?
I know, right?
Yeah.
I move that we, select, I'm tongue-tied. I move that we approve the November 7th regular meeting minutes. Boy, I'm out of,
You're out of practice, Bill.
yeah.
I'll second. I'll pick that up.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I move that we accept the November 21st budget meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? One more.
Oh, someone else kick in.
I make a motion we accept the meeting minutes from November 28th.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Still no Ted. Okay. Announcements. The Select Board will meet on the following dates at 5 p.m. Monday, December 19th for a budget work session. Monday, January 9th for a regular meeting. Tuesday, January 17th for a budget work session if needed. Note that is on a Tuesday. Monday, January 23rd for the first public hearing on the 2023-2024 budget. And then Thursday, February 9th, 2023 for the second public hearing on the budget if needed and the reading of petitioned warrant articles. All meetings will be held here in Town Hall and by Zoom. Zoom information can be found on the town's website at plymouth-nh.org. Any citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify the Town Hall before noon the Thursday before the scheduled meeting. Town offices will be closed on Monday, December 26th for the Christmas holiday and Monday, January 2nd for observing New Year's Day. All right. I don't have any comments, but I do have, let's just quickly grab, actually, hold on one second. I have a text from Ted. Oh, he has a problem. He'll be right back. Not the most meaningful text, but a good one nonetheless. Just one second. Grabbing these notes if I can get them.
Here's Ted.
Oh, Ted's back.
He can hear us.
Hey, Ted, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can now. I had an audio problem.
That's okay. And we can hear you as well, which is good. Ted, is there anyone else in the room with you there tonight?
No.
Are you unable to attend for medical or related reasons?
Yes.
Okay, so you will still officially be able to participate, but you'll be remote. All right, that gave me time to get up my notes. So we don't, Kathy, we don't actually have a plaque for you this evening because there was a slight snafu with the printing of that plaque, but we will definitely get that for you. But I wanted to welcome to you a new and exciting chapter in your life and congratulate you on your well-earned retirement. It's a large achievement, and you deserve the retirement of a lifetime. Thank you for all your contributions to the town of Plymouth. But more importantly, thank you for the joy and dedication, positive energy you've given on a successful career over 24 years. You've been instrumental in many projects and have designed, implemented, completed, many things for the town. Your years of service and dedication do not go unnoticed. May your new chapter be exciting and full of opportunities for relaxation and things that bring you joy and peace. Hopefully a lot of quilting. It's not easy to say goodbye, but we'll hold on to the fond memories of working with you, and we hope your retirement will be even better than you imagined. Wish you all the best to you and your family, and may your retirement be filled with lots of health, happiness, and laughter. Have fun, and cheers to you.
Thank you.
So So we'll have the official plaque later, but for now we have this here for you.
You want me to come forward?
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Jen.
Thank you.
Hey. Reach.
Thank you. Thanks, Kat.
I could say a couple words.
Yeah, you want to just come to the podium, Mike, so we can capture your audio?
Howdy, Selectboard. Thank you for serving. Thanks, Scott, for taking over. I was on the Select Board during the transition from Paul to Kathy. And I also served for a number of years before Kathy took over. And for some that may not know about the struggles that Kathy went through while she worked for the town, it was heroic, to say the least. And for a woman going through the struggles that she went through and the town to stand with her and support her and to get the phone calls at night on whether updates on her health, sometimes on a daily basis, and to still see her at the town hall, a week later or a couple of days later, and you knew that she didn't feel well. But that's the type of person that you not only want your daughter to emulate, but you want anybody in the town to put the amount of effort that Kathy did into her job. And it was selfless. And I can't say enough good words about what she did and sacrificed for this town. It was amazing. And I remember the night of the vote, I believe there were, I think there were 4 selectmen out of the 5 that were 100% in support of Kathy. And I just want to thank her as a past select board member, what she did. And again, I hope my daughters can do the job that she did. And I was sad, even though we've got Scott, I was sad to see her not be in that position any longer. And I hoped that the select board did everything that they could to see her, what her wishes were. So, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes, please.
Kathy, thank you for your service. Thank you for your counsel to the department heads over the years and your friendship. We appreciated you, and we wish you the best in your retirement. Happy knitting.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes, please.
I just wanted to thank Kathy on behalf of other people that I know over the years. Before she was town administrator, Kathy was always a friendly face and a helpful person at town hall, no matter what you needed or what you needed. So she was always there to greet us and served us with dedication and loyalty. I was selectman when she was training as under Paul, and it was just wonderful to see somebody with the dedication, willingness to learn new things and to try new things to be able to serve our town. So I want to thank Kathy for all the people that you've helped all these years. Thank you so much.
I want to say that Plymouth is a town that has a myriad of challenges. And over the years, I think that your dedication and hard work has been greatly appreciated.
All right, one last word from me as well, but, Kathy, I really appreciated your work, and I hope to appreciate your work further as you drive for Transport Central.
I was expecting that.
I'll give you a vest and a hat. You can start tomorrow if you'd like. Thanks, Kathy.
Any other comments from anyone? All right. Thank you again. On to town manager's comments.
Yes, so I'll lead off by my report, and then I have some additional items that we need to cover. First thing is with regards to Plymouth Fire Department and the Plymouth Police Department. They both received a $1,000 grant from Walmart to be used within their departments. The fire department has chosen to use it for infectious disease control. The police department is using it for emergency response safety items for their go bags, which are kept on each officer as they work throughout their patrol. Both of these grants, the Plymouth Walmart is the grant that the fire department received, and whereas nobody had applied for the Woodsville Walmart grant, Alex and his team, through Sergeant Diamond, applied for that and received the Woodsville Walmart grant. So with that being said, we just need a motion from the board to accept those grants and to be used as designated by both departments.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
It's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So that's a total of 3,000?
Total of 2,000.
2,000
for each department.
Oh, okay. So was it 500 from the Plymouth Walmart and 500 from the Woodsville one?
No,
or?
1,000 for the Plymouth Walmart to the fire department and 1,000 from the Woodsville Walmart to the police department.
Okay, so the Plymouth Walmart was for the fire and Woodsville was for police?
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
now I follow. Thank you. So $2,000.
Is that the first time this has been offered, or what? Or
No, it's been available every fall for a number of years.
okay.
And you've gotten it in the past, right? Yeah.
That was a great call on Alex's part. I didn't realize you could, reach out to another Walmart. That's great.
It's in their budget.
Let's put it on the
Yeah.
list of calls.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Next on my report, Plymouth State University update. I met with the university on November 21st. We discussed several items regarding to strengthening the community partnership, police coverage, pirate party, Highland Street crosswalk concerns. Marlon Collingwood and myself will be meeting monthly. Something that we were able to execute is an MOU with Plymouth State University, and this is with regards to holiday parking. So holiday parking at the Silver Arts Center in lots 209 and 210, right here out here off of Court Street, will be available from December 17th through December 31st. The MOU has been signed and signs have been made by the police department. And what the plan is that The parking enforcement officer will put the signs out in the morning and take them in at night, so we are able to keep them through that period of time. But that's been executed and is in place. Pilot agreements. I was able to meet with Southern New Hampshire Services Elderly Housing on Fairgrounds Road. They have offered to enter into a pilot agreement, which I have here for your signature tonight. With regards to that organization, they have a couple different options. They can pay based on the valuation of the property, or they can pay based on their net income. And working with the executive director, they've chosen to pay on their net income. So the fee we're collecting is $17,141, which we received a check last Thursday in that amount. But I do have the agreement here for a signature for final execution on that. We did receive our pilot agreement funds from Spear Memorial Hospital in the amount of $25,000. That pilot agreement was put into effect in 2020 and does expire in 2027. I do have a meeting with Michelle McHugh this Friday to talk about our relationship and partnership between the town and Spear Memorial Hospital.
Scott, does the first one have an end date, or
I'm sorry, Mary?
does the first one have an end date, agreement date?
That's just for 1 year.
Yearly? Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll have to renegotiate with them again next
Correct.
year and
Yep.
on and on. This is great, and we did not previously have any sort of agreement in place, so this
We
is...
did not.
This is fantastic.
And I do have a meeting with Mid-State Health on Friday, as well as an upcoming meeting with Lakes Region Mental Health located on Highland Street.
So let's get this first one processed. We probably need a motion to sign this.
Oh, who signed it? Oh,
All of us need to.
okay. Oh, Neil's already signed it.
He's one step ahead.
I signed it already?
Yeah, you're on
I
top
mean,
of
it
it.
was
Must have
probably the
been in
signature
folder
thing, so,
somewhere.
yeah.
Oh, I know. Carol put it in front of me when I was signing Christmas cards, and
She
I
was
thought it was a
excited.
Christmas card.
You need a motion for that?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
for us to sign it, yeah.
Okay.
Are you making a motion?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion?
These just aren't classy enough without Ted.
I know we
doing
need
it.
to.
Yeah, we need
Ted,
Ted.
You keep things moving
Yeah.
here, buddy. We miss you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Zach, can I just make mention that this is not the first year that we've gotten this pilot? This is the first year that we've actually put the agreement in place at the recommendation of the assessors, I believe.
Okay, so we have had pilot money from this source previously.
I think it was 2
That
years
is
ago.
correct.
Yeah.
That
Was
is
it-
correct.
Actually, I kind of recall, in fact, Mike, you might have been on the board when we were discussing that as well. I think it was like, from some time ago. Getting a pilot agreement with, Southern New Hampshire Health Services, elderly housing. It's that, now which one is it? It says,
It's the one
Fairgrounds
out
Road?
just
There are two-
before the dip in the road on Fairgrounds Road.
okay, all right, gotcha. So no, I was thinking about another one, further down the road.
That's a smaller
That is correct.
setup.
Okay.
Zach, I'll
wanna
just
get
move
that.
on.
Yeah, please. Sorry, I just want to get, and just for clarity on the Spear one, that's an existing agreement
That's an
that's in
existing
place?
pilot agreement that expires in 2027.
And I thought that was expanded a bit because of the properties that they picked up across the street.
It is. Can I, I'm sorry, I'm going to keep answering. It is expanded. It's actually 50,000 a year.
Yeah, okay.
One for Boulder Point is 25,000. The remainder of the properties are the other 25,000. So we've received one payment of the two payments for this year.
Okay.
We will receive the second payment as well.
Do you know where that current pilot agreement is, Ian? Because that is not recorded in any of the folders.
I'm sure I have it, Scott.
Okay.
I
I'd like
will-
to get
I
a
will
copy of
it
that
to
and
you.
get it into the
Yes.
folders.
Yep.
Okay.
Pass down to Scott.
Next is the cable TV contract with Charter, now known as Spectrum. We had a meeting with attorney Kate Miller from Donahue, Tucker, Sandella, Dan Salzner, and Bear with regards to the current contract that expired on November 9th. Spectrum continues to provide service in a holdover status until the contract can be completed. Attorney Miller is awaiting documentation from Spectrum at this time. Once the information is received, Attorney Miller will move forward with an amendment to our 2014 agreement that is currently in holdover status. Budget process on November 21st, the town clerk, planning, zoning, and land use, cemeteries, recycling center, police, fire departments, and the library met with the select board to discuss their budget request. The budget committee and myself provided input for recommendations. The next meeting with the additional department heads is on December 19th at 5 p.m. Update on the downtown drainage project. A meeting was held on November 22nd with regards to the status of the project and going out to rebid. After consulting with June Hammond Rowan and Josh from HEB Engineering, we feel that it would be the project's best interest to re-advertise prior to the Christmas holiday. The bid documents were posted today, December 12th. A pre-bid meeting will take place on January 12th, and the bid openings will take place on January 27th at Town Hall. Our feeling was this would give contractors ample time to review and submit their bids. We have reached out to 5 local contractors today, and 2 of them have asked for the documentation to bid on the project. So that's moving in a good direction right now. The welfare department, Mary Ann, handled 21 cases and assisted 21 individuals during the month of November. Loon Lake Road culvert update. Engineer selection is complete. Mike Vignali from KV Partners did get that job for the town of Plymouth. Island Street project. This is something we haven't talked about in quite some time. A meeting was held on November 23rd with Marion Austin from New Hampshire DOT. Rodney Bartlett is not available to take on the project as a consultant. We'll be meeting with possible new consultant over the next week. Joe has worked with Plymouth Village Water and Sewer in getting some names and additional information with regards to who we may be able to use as a consultant for that project. Next era, Energy Services draft contract, reviewing contract language for Next Era Energy Services, as the recommendation is to switch from Constellation Energy as the contract expires. I've been working with Grace Garvey on the review and edits, as well as Attorney Radigan. The contract was sent off to him, and John and I had a long discussion the other day and made some recommendations back to Next Era, which we received a response late this afternoon, which I haven't had the chance to review yet. So that's looking promising of getting into that contract with them at a very reasonable cost, and I think Grace will talk a little bit more about that tonight. The recycling center, Jim, there's a grant that's coming available with regards to electric skid steers. And Jim, I had asked Jim to reach out to a company and see if we could demo one, so he has done that. The recycling center will have a demo later this week to test and see how it works in the colder conditions. And like I said, there is grant money becoming available in the near future that Joseph has identified. So we'll see how that works up there and get their feedback on that. And the last thing on my report is just thank you to all town departments that participated in the events despite the weather, and I'm talking the hometown holiday celebration. A big thank you to Don Roach for decorating the town hall and the Plymouth Rotary for decorating the town common. I think despite the weather, it was very successful, and all departments really lended a hand in making sure that it went off without a hitch. So thank you to all the town departments for that. A couple additional things that I have is I do have a tax abatement for you to sign. The reason for a tax abatement in the amount of $622 is that data entry was done after the second tax bill was sent out. So there is the abatement, but I have a supplemental property tax warrant for 2022, the second bill. This is in the same case, whereas after the abatement was done, they were evaluated And this is in the amount of $4,181 to send out this supplemental tax bill to the individuals that are listed on that. The next thing I have is, I had a family come in and they had failed to pay their first tax bill. And I'll just read the letter in just that. To my horror, I received my December tax bill indicating that July taxes were not paid. Due to family issues and an extremely busy schedule, we completely forgot to pay our July taxes. We never have been late on our taxes since we first bought our house in 1994, and that is accurate statement. We have now paid our summer taxes, intend to pay the remaining taxes by the due date of December 20th, 2022. Linda suggested that I write to you asking to excuse the late fee of $146.08. If at all possible, based on our good record of payment, we'd appreciate waiving the $146.08. And I look to you for your guidance on how you'd like to move forward with that.
Was that 30 years of paying their taxes on time?
Correct.
Feels like giving them a pass this time is pretty fair.
Okay.
I kind of know about this. And I was kind of, maybe not surprised, but for Linda suggest to waive the penalty. And I think that because she asked for it or suggested that she come to the board, I would recommend it as well. But
I'm in agreement.
Looks like you have consensus.
Okay, thank you. Next to last thing is, Joe and I had met on Friday with regards to some issues that we're having with some roadways due to the current temperatures and weather patterns that we've had. And we're seeing a lot of damage in the Cummings Hill Road area, on Texas Hill Road area, Old Hebron Road, and Bell Road. And this is due to a lot of logging operations that are taking place in those areas. So what Joe is asking is that we authorize the posting of the following list of roads for a 10-ton load limit during the warm weather conditions. The road ban will stay in effect until a continuous cold weather pattern develops. The purpose of this posting is to prevent unreasonable damage to the roadways, which may result in hazards to public safety and/or possible extraordinary maintenance expense to the community. And we do have one area on Cummings Hill Road that is going to, Joe's team is going to be up there over the next day trying to fix that area where it is just so soft during the day that the road is disintegrating and falling apart. So Joe asked me to bring this tonight and get your blessing on putting this road ban in place until we have a colder weather pattern that develops.
He's had us do that in past years, I can recall.
yeah, but usually it's spring.
Yep, this is something that's a little different. Usually it is in the spring, but where we've had such warm days and the sun beating on the roads, it really is starting to deteriorate it like it does in the spring after you have the thaw.
Do you know if is there a ballpark where he'll deem it okay? You know, because we're gonna have a string of cold weather. No, but the sun's out, and when the sun's out, it gets.
I think what Joe's talking is once the weather drops below the 20s, he'd be able to open it back up. But where it's been in the high 30s and low 40s during the day, it's really taking its toll on the roads.
Right.
We've had, this fall, we've had an extended period of drought-type weather, and the ground dried out, and the structure of the soil is affected. And then it was followed by unusual amount of rain, which saturated the soil, and that would make the road susceptible to failure, especially from heavy loads.
So I guess we're looking for a consensus to make
You need
sure.
a consensus or a motion?
Let's go with a motion.
Let's go with the motion. It's always cleaner.
I move that Joe institute a road ban, like heavy limit, whatever.
Weight limit.
weight limit ban on the roads at his discretion based on the weather.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
So, are people notified of that, other than signs going up, that people are doing the logging right now?
Put a sign up, but that's pretty much
Other than
it.
that,
Yeah.
Roads will all be posted, and there is a large logging operation going on at the corner of Texas Hill and Old Hebron Road that is really wearing that corner down as well. So it will be posted in those appropriate areas.
Any more discussion, questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Just two more things real quick. The employee holiday party is this Thursday at noontime here in this room for town employees. And then the last thing I have is I met with Bill on Friday, and the InterStream flow program. And Bill had put a letter together from the Town of Plymouth Office of the Select Board with regards to supporting this. And Bill, I don't know if you want to talk more on this before Zach signs that?
Sure. Actually,
He has a copy of this.
Neil's very familiar with it because we've been discussing the need for in-stream flow determination, that DES would actually find out all the people that are drawing water from the river itself. And, like currently we have, what's the Owl's Nest golf course. And they've been drawing out a lot of water lately for construction of a 10-acre pond to create three new wells.
Uses.
What's that?
For all their uses.
Yeah, for all their uses. It's not just like for fire, it's like for recreation, for, watering all their lawns and such. And they're thinking about, well, they are going to build a trout pond. And so there's a lot of water being drawn out of the river. And the river's, as far as like drawing from the river, it's only based on a measurement at the beginning of the river, up in Woodstock. If it's below a certain level in Woodstock, then they limit the amount of water taking out of the water. So this is going to be actually determining all the uses of all along the river itself. And so it's beginning to end. It's not just like looking at the beginning and assuming that everything downstream is okay to draw water down. So it's pretty costly. DES is funding it, and they're going to basically test the quality of water from beginning to end, and they've already started that. And now with their receipt of more money, they're going to do even more testing. So the Pemmons-Ruwassett River Local Advisory Committee is going to benefit greatly because we'll have all that data to work from. And we'll also have an ultimate gauge that we can okay projects against. And so that's going to be in a couple of years. But it's pretty exciting. They had a hearing lately, and, it was determined that they have the go-ahead to do it. So, and we're just recommending that they should.
This practice is not unprecedented. For many years, the Waterville Company pumped water out of the Mad River to make snow. And when they got to a point where they reached a certain level, they had to stop making snow until they built their new pond.
Right. Yep.
So, it was a practice that was employed.
So I would make a motion for Zach to sign this request or indication of the support of Plymouth in the in-stream flow project.
Second? Was that a
I
motion?
guess, sure.
sounded like one.
Any discussion?
I forgot about my phone.
Your name is misspelled.
Yeah, I just saw that. That was my fault, I'm sure. But I gave Scott a draft document. Yep, I misspelled it.
Zach, just one thing, and Phil just reminded me that with regards to the waiving the $146.08 on that, we should have a motion.
Okay, we'll go back to that. We have an open motion on this still. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Sounds good. So we need a motion on the waiving of the tax.
The late
Late
fee
fee.
for
Late
the
fee for
tax
taxes.
bill of $146.08.
$146.08.
I move,
Oh.
you want to make the motion?
No. I want Mary Ann to be the one.
So I move that we void the late fee charge of $146.08 Amy and Scott Bailey's tax bill.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
That's all I have, Zach. Thank you.
Now we can start our meeting, huh?
Yes.
That was a lot of stuff that normally we would have taken in other sections of the meeting, so I like that. I just adjusted the my name and signed it.
You want to just
Someone-
redraft it?
Someone reprints it, I'll sign it again.
Okay.
Okay, so that gets through that and that. That. Old business, trash container discussion. I think this is the point at which we agreed to check back in and say, how's it going?
I see nothing.
Yeah, and any concerns seem to have
Yeah.
evaporated.
Is it working?
I think so. My only
Scott, have
question
you heard
was-
anything from downtown?
I think that the biggest concern is the night of the holiday
Right,
celebration.
that's what I wanted to ask.
There was a lot of trash that was left amongst the main street because there were no receptacles to put the trash in. Thankfully enough, Joe and his team got out the street sweeper and came out at 4:30 on Sunday morning and cleaned up, as well as several at the end of the celebration helped pick it up. I think from what I've seen and from what I've heard in discussion is that when we do have some type of large celebration or maybe concert on the common or some type of event of that nature, we should have some trash receptacles available for that purpose.
We should probably put it right on the form, right? Because anytime we have a celebration, we do that form where you check all the things that you might need for your event. We could put that right on there.
That's a good idea.
It may be on that there already. You know, they also have like a request for like a porta potty too, if you have like 100 or more. So the trash receptacle might already be there.
Might already be there. Yeah. So you just watch for that and tick the box, or if it is already there.
That's the only feedback that I've received recently and
Yeah.
before. I think, as everyone has noticed, there are some businesses that have trash receptacles out in front of them and they're used, but we're not seeing a lot of debris and trash around the common or the Main Street area.
All right. Well, we'll check in on this again in the spring when the season changes and human patterns may change similarly. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Back in spring. And Scott, are you able to kind of keep track of that? And
I will.
Okay.
Absolutely.
perfect. That brings us to Grace Garvey and the Quincy Road Solar Financial Model Update.
So the Plymouth Energy Commission just has two things. One is the Quincy Road proposal, but the first line of business would be just to thank the Select Board for their vote at the last meeting to go 100% green on the third-party contract. And I just want to give huge kudos to Ann and also to Scott, particularly recently, for trying to work out the details on that contract with People's Power Choice through Next Era. Then our second line of business, and that's all on behalf of the Plymouth Energy Commission. We really appreciate and respect your decision. And so the second piece would be about the Quincy Road solar array proposal. I know there was a question posed at the end of the conversation about this new third-party supplier about, well, if we've done this with green, for 5 years, why would we be talking still about a solar array? So tonight we want to dig a little deeper into that and to look at the long-term benefits of that solar array once it's commissioned. So what I'd like to do is hand out some updated handouts and then hand the meeting over to Ted Van Zant from Barrington Power so we can go over the numbers. You have a spreadsheet in your handout, but it's a little outdated, so I'd rather just trade these out.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
With your blessing, I'm going to walk over and give these to you.
Please.
Thank you.
Latest and greatest.
Are you, do you have this digitally?
I did send it digitally.
I was just thinking if Ted could get the numbers.
So Ted, I did send that out by email. I'm hoping you have that digitally. And I think I
there's the
included
thumbs up.
Ann.
Yes, I have it.
Thank you, Grace. I first want to start out with an apology because the last time I attended the meeting was by Zoom, and it was when Bill Johnstone from the co-op was presenting some information that befuddled me a little. So I tried to pull it together and redo my spreadsheet, and that turned out to be providing inaccurate information. So
It was a lot fast, we understand.
what's that?
It was a lot going on very fast. I think.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. Anyway, so the good news is that since then, I've pulled together the information that Bill gave and put that into this analysis, made a number of other changes, which I'll quickly run through, and then we can kind of run through the analysis step by step. So the changes I've made were that there was in the previous model showing a 30% direct pay in lieu of tax credit, and since then we've realized that the town of Plymouth is available for a 10% bonus based on median income. So that's a good news income item. I've also updated the fact that we will have financing fees on construction as the array is being built before it's actually producing power. So we've estimated that and put that into the model. I've also totaled up showing what the 20-year income would be, which is the finance period, but also showing a 35-year income, which is the likely life of the system, because that last 15 years is without finance payments. So that's where things really bump up. Let's see. I updated the exported energy rates slightly based on the actual number off of the rate sheet that I showed last week. It was slightly different. And then we've confirmed with the CDFA that they are very interested in the project, able to provide financing in a way that the Energy Commission and I think is going to work well for the town. And they've confirmed that the rate next year would likely be 4.75%. And that's based on prime at something like 7-ish, minus some discounts that they give to municipalities. So both the Energy Commission and I have talked to Scott at CDFA, and they've confirmed that. And then the last piece is that I realized that this model is based on a fixed electricity rate. It doesn't include inflation. So normally if you're doing like a 20 or 35-year projection of savings, you would have some kind of energy inflation built in. This does not have that. So I consider this very conservative from that standpoint. So does it make sense to just go through each line item real quick to kind of refresh our memory on this, Zach and folks?
Sure.
Yes.
Do you want me to share it?
You mean on the screen? Yeah, that might be good for the cable viewers,
Yeah, that's true.
streamers.
Okay.
Thank you. Excellent. Okay, so the first line item is $686,000. That's the turnkey cost for Barrington Power to design, build, permit, complete the project. Next is a $10,000 rebate that's available from the state. That is, technically, it's competitive, meaning if there's money in the program and you apply, first come, first serve, you get it. And if the program runs out, you don't get it. So, but the good news is the last 2 years running, they've had funding continuously. Third line item is the 30% direct pay, which is the recently from the Inflation Reduction Act, where the town would get a direct payment in lieu of a tax credit.
Could I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Well, so Maggie mentioned the fact that we rate for 40%, not 30%, but is that 10% the PUC?
No, 30% for the direct pay, and the next line item is the other 10%.
Which is a bonus to the direct payment based on median family income.
So that was where you
All
were
right,
coming up with
gotcha.
40 before.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
So you add all the costs up and all the benefits up, and you end up with a net investment by the town of just over $400,000. So calculating how to pay off that money, you've got income from the co-op. For every kilowatt hour generated, you're going to get 15.65 cents, as shown down in line 25. So that number of 50,844 is calculated by multiplying the 15-cent energy rate times the estimated production on line 24. The next
How did we estimate the production? Is that taking into account weather patterns and those sorts? So it's
yeah, there's two ways. One is there's an online tool by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory using local weather data and information about solar projects. And it's sort of ubiquitous. Everybody in the industry uses it. That tends to be a little high in estimates. And what we do is we use the actual data from projects we've done. So that's how we came up with this number. It's based on what we think is actually going to produce based on other projects of similar.
so a realistic but leaning conservative number.
It is, yes. Next line item is annual rec income. There are renewable energy credits produced. Every kilowatt hour is a renewable energy credit that the town can sell for 2.7 cents each. And so that is shown in here at 2.7 cents for times the energy production. The next line item, number 9, is basically the cost for the co-op to maintain the service where the solar is going to interconnect. Next line item is the town will probably want to have insurance on the array, and will probably want to hire someone to do operations and maintenance. And this is a full O&M cost where you would hire someone, a third party, to mow the array. So this number can go down if the town mows the array itself. Most of the maintenance is simply just mowing around the array so it doesn't grow up and shade the solar panels. But it would include an annual service technician to come in and check all the connections and check that everything's working and all the wires are, there's no mice getting in the inverters or stuff like that. The next line item 11 is the cost of financing that $401,600 based on 4.75%. That's your annual cost. So adding all those line items up 7 through 11, you get a net annual income to the town of $22,000. And again, I've done this sort of straight line with no inflation, so that's showing $22,000 each year for 20 years. The next line item is just year one, you're reducing the overall savings by $6,700 because that's your financing fees in year one. So if you take line 13 times 20, you reduce it by line 14, then you get a 20-year income to the town of $438,000. The next line item is showing years 20 through 35 where you've paid off your loan. There's no more cost for loan payments, so your annual benefit jumps up to $53,000. And so if you take the 53,000 times 15 years plus the 20-year income on line 15, you end up with $1.239 million sort of 35-year project benefit to the town. I know I was going pretty fast. Hopefully you guys everybody good?
Yes,
I have a question.
please.
If, how would it affect the income to the town if line 25 increased over time?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Sorry about that.
How would it affect income to the town if line 25 increases over time?
Line 25, it's actually a good thing. So that's, the assumption there is that rate does fluctuate, right? It goes up and goes down every 3 months. The co-op sets their rates. But one would assume that over time, it's going to go up with inflation, just like everything else. And like energy rates have gone up for the last 35 or whatever years, they're going to increase. So when that increases, the benefit to the town increases. So that's the difference of what I'm saying. I've got that shown at 15 cents for 35 years, but realistically, it's going to be like this. So the benefit should be significantly more than this is showing.
I've been a customer for 46 years, and it keeps going up. That's all I can say.
Glad to hear that confirmation. I'm sorry, do you have something else? Okay, he's got it. Good. And so that's, I think that's pretty much it. The project assumptions are pretty self-explanatory, and the financial assumptions I went through. So,
Zach, if I may, just for a moment.
Yes, please.
So if we were to bond the solar array project, just as with the downtown drainage project, our first date that we could hold a public hearing on the bond would be January 13th. Looking at our schedule, we do have Monday, January 23rd, which is the first public hearing on the budget. We could hold 2 bond hearings prior to that hearing or after that. But just to make sure we understand when those bond hearings have to be held, it has to be no more than 60 days prior to town meeting. So just to keep that in mind when the bond hearing would have to be done.
Yeah, it seems like sooner rather than later.
So I just want to say one other thing just to make it clear. So there was confusion last time that the signing up for the third-party power would impact this, and it does not. That was the verification that Bill Johnstone made. So it's really quite good news. You're able to sign up for that 11-cent rate and lock that in, and you're also able to do the solar project and get the benefits that were originally shown. So,
yeah, which is great.
Grace, in our discussions that we had the other day, you talked about moving from a monthly income from New Hampshire Electric Co-op to an annual, and I think you were going to discuss that as well.
That.
You want to do that or
no? Sure. Do you want to do it? It's basically what was confirmed by Bill Johnstone last meeting, is that this method of getting paid by the co-op, it would be an annual payment. Would not be group net metering, would not be a monthly payment, it would be an annual payment.
Let me try something.
You bet.
So this is the way Bill described it, Bill Johnstone, that every month we would generate power, right? It would be banked at that then monthly rate, and then we get a check. I think it's in March. Does that make sense?
Yes. And in the scheme of our overall budget, the difference between being paid $5,000 a month or $50,000 a year doesn't really affect all that much for us. It's fine. And in fact, it's probably less to process and take care of. Please.
We don't know if these IRA funds are going to be available beyond 2023. The CDFA is practically, I don't know, I shouldn't use the word bending over backwards, but they're really trying to make it work for communities that want to do these kind of projects. It's very clear. So those two things are really aligning for 2023, that if we're going to do this, it's really the time to do it. Assuming this passes at town meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the next question is, does the board support putting this on the warrant from a board perspective, as opposed to asking to petition it or something?
I wouldn't bank on putting this off.
So that's a yes.
Sooner,
You'd like
yeah.
to see
Sooner
us
the
support
better.
this.
Started out there wrong, but I wouldn't bank
Well,
on
that's
putting
to
it
make
off.
you think.
Yeah, I'm very much in favor of it. So,
Ted?
I'm in favor.
Okay. So we should schedule the hearing.
I'll work with Ann when she's back, and we'll get that moving forward.
Perfect.
Can I ask just a process question? So where would the warrant be written? Would it be at the PEC's level?
I think if the board is supporting it, we would take your help, but it's technically our responsibility at that point.
Sure.
But if you want to help with drafting that, I don't think any of us would tell you not to help us.
Thank you.
Anne has her hand waving.
Yeah.
The actual wording for a warrant article for a bond is specific. You can't just, as we did last year, just put informational in there. We have to have specific wording, so we won't need any help writing that,
Okay.
because it is specific to what we need.
Okay.
And
Great.
yeah, that also would have to be approved by DRA as well, with regards to the language in that warrant article.
DRA and John Radigan both approve our warrant before they actually go to town meeting. Yep.
Okay.
Is there a chance we could just draft it and send it to Ann? And
The issue is
Warrant.
To match the requirement.
yeah, specific wording.
I mean, yeah, I think that if you sent her a draft,
Yeah.
she would not, she wouldn't say no to that, but she's gonna make it work for the bonding language.
Grace, your biggest challenge is going to be the Energy Committee standing up on the floor at town meeting and explaining this warrant before the article before it gets going for a vote. You can have handouts, you can have anything you want, but we can't change really the wording of the specific warrant article because it's a bonding issue.
Right, but there will be some wording on that warrant that says something about the project.
Yes, what it will be for, that's correct.
Yeah, so the what it's for piece, Grace could help provide you that so that that part is clear.
We can work on that, that's correct, but it has to be specific warrant article wording from DRA in order for them to approve it as well.
And just, I know that I've gotten confused about bonds and loans. I mean, we would be looking to apply through CDFA.
It is, it doesn't
That's
matter whether
considered
you
a
call it
bond.
a bond or a loan, unless it's a gift. And then we could do it differently.
I wish.
but,
Thank you.
If you could find us a gift of around $400,000, that would be well appreciated.
And so, Ted, you've done a few of these yourself.
Say that again?
You've done a few of these yourself.
A few.
And could you help as well on the language, or at least help, Grace?
Yeah, no, I would help work with Grace and put together what we think would be the most logical wording, and then
Yeah.
I agree, and it's got to make sure that it passes the DRA's
Yep.
requirements, like any warrant article has to, so.
Yep.
But the details of the project, I think, are important, so that's what we would put together.
Yep. I think the point about make sure you've got a nice, clear brochure for town meeting is also going to be essential.
And talk to Dan about getting on PBTV and go to the recycling center with information. It's just
Yeah.
Does there need to be a formal motion done at some time between now and town meeting when the select board supports it formally?
I think yes. Do we have to vote to put it on the warrant now, or do we just, it shows up in that draft warrant and we approve the warrant as written?
It'll basically show up in that warrant, and then when we have our final public hearing on the budget, the board will be reading down through all the warrant articles just to make sure that they make recommendations or not at that point. So, but you've already said that you're recommending it, that's how we're moving forward, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So, going back to the very start of this meeting, the reading of petition warrant articles will happen on Thursday, February 9th. So it's a little ways out, but there's a bunch of small things that have to happen between now and then.
And you will have your public hearing on that, as Scott just recommended?
On the bond,
just
yeah.
discussed. So that'll be, another way for people to understand that the board is recommending, this warrant article as well.
good work, Grace.
Yeah, it's
Ted,
cool.
Maggie,
All right.
and
Very
commission.
exciting.
Yes.
Yes. We've come a long way on this one. There's been a lot of work to get to this point of clarity. I'm happy with the way this is written. All right, on to new business. Mail receptacle location decision on Main Street.
Yes, so back on May 23rd at a select board meeting, it was brought up by Steve Rand, the possibility of a postal box for a drive-through convenience in the cut-through across from the post office, which was discussed at the time. It was asked that Kathy check with the highway, police, park and rec to see if they had issues with the placement of the box. And I think it just hasn't been brought up since that time. That checking was done, and I reconfirmed with Alex and Joe, as well as Lisa and Robert. And they have no problem with the drive-through mailbox being set up in that location, and to reevaluate it after a year to see if there's any issues with that at that time. So they're all in favor of moving the drop box from in front of the post office to free up some parking spaces over to the drive-through location as soon as the postal service could do that.
That sounds fantastic. And the notes say that at the time the board all was in support of that. I assume the board's still in support of that?
Yeah, why not?
Yes.
Great. Any other discussion on that, Scott, or are we
Nope,
good?
that's it.
Okay, on to committee reports. Mary Ann.
Unfortunately, last month's meeting was canceled. We have a meeting tomorrow at 5.
Okay, planning board, Neil.
Wow, I think we're going to have a meeting this week on the 15th. I think we canceled our meeting, or rescheduled our meeting at last week.
Okay. Campus Community Council, no
It's
news.
not meeting until spring.
Spring. PES.
PES, they did have a meeting that I attended last week. They talked about their winter program, various trips, and in the budget meeting, they talked about the budget with PES going up by roughly $600,000 in their initial budget pass-through. Of note, that means about $1.40 on the tax rate, just for the elementary school. And they talk about a holiday concert and, a number of field trips that are scheduled around the area.
Okay. The Plymouth High School School Board met, and I was trying to find the date just to say why I had a conflict, but I had a conflict the night that it happened, so I was unable to attend.
Last Monday?
Was it last Monday?
I think it was, I attended.
Yeah. Then I was in Atlanta. That's why I couldn't attend.
Last Tuesday. I take that back, last Tuesday.
Tuesday, yes. It was Tuesday. I know that was that the element? Yeah, that was at the high school. Yes. Okay. Since you were there, do you have any reports on?
I just stayed for the meeting regarding the transgender student playing basketball and concerns around that.
Could you give a report on that?
Sure. So there was concern, I forget the gentleman's name, a parent of the community. There was a student, transgender female, who is on the girls' basketball team. So he raised a concern about that student playing on the girls' basketball team. What's the guidelines, the rules that the school follows? Right now, there isn't any. Obviously, the school board there was no conversation back and forth with the school board. There were a bunch of community members there. The student in question, her parents were there. They were very nice, offered up, a Q&A, some sort of, other meeting to discuss that, so people really understand it a lot better and what it looks like. It was well attended. I obviously don't know what the school board, if anything, is going to do with it after that.
Interesting.
Mm.
Any questions or comments on that topic? All right, Conservation Commission, Neil.
Conservation Commission, they're going to meet tomorrow night.
Meets tomorrow. Capital improvement is still at rest until spring. Advisory Budget Committee, Ted?
I have no report from them.
No report. LRPC.
The executive committee met. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. I was pre-scheduled for something else.
Parks and Rec Commission, Ted?
No, they have not met since we last met.
Parking Committee.
I'm still working on the parking down by the senior center. After some analysis, need some more lighting down there, trying to figure out what that means. There's been, I know Alex and his group come down by the senior center at night. The senior center lighting is sometimes off, sometimes on. They do need to be a little brighter. Want to have another meeting with Gail from the senior center to discuss the impact. Is there any impact to her and the center if we do take those 20 spaces? Also Joe as well. Unfortunately, Alex is really tied up till the end of the year between vacations and additional meetings, so I don't think we'll pick that back up until the beginning of the year upcoming.
Okay. Still seems like an important project to figure out. So
yeah,
glad
no,
it's
definitely. Once
continuing.
again, there's lots of interest from the business owners, so it's trying to keep moving forward.
Perlac.
We're not going to meet until January.
I have some notes from our last meeting.
Goodness, thank you.
Is that what you want?
Yes, please.
What do you want?
Okay, we had a guest, Ethan Jennings, a geologist from Horizons Engineering, representing Owl's Nest Golf Course. And he is planning to triple the production of the wells. And I think that he said they want 400 to 600 gallons per minute for drinking water. And from river water withdrawal and golf course and irrigation purposes. They have one well right now, but they want 2 more wells that they're applying for. And these are going to be gravel-packed wells that go 60 feet down and pull from the aquifer. Their permit will authorize twice what their potential planned use is. They're planning to use 648,000 gallons per day altogether. And there was some discussion as to the extent of the aquifer, whether or not it actually, the aquifer actually extends all the way to the Mad River and from the Pemmy River. And representative from the DES, Wayne Ives, stated that there is no water use plan for the Pemmy at this time. And Tracy Sales is his supervisor, and we work with her. Then we moved on to Fish and Game. They own a right-of-way to a wildlife management area, which is actually in between the north and southbound lanes of 93, just south of the bridge over the Pemmy. But the only way to get there is to go across the golf course, and I think they've got it blocked right now, and they're supposed to build a road for the public. Right. And they really discourage people from going down there. So that's something Fish and Game is working on. And then Lakes Region Planning Commission Management Plan Update, which is a pretty extensive document that a number of members of the PERLAC are working on, involves water quality testing, stormwater runoff, invasive species changes, endangered species, threatened species, vegetation, wildlife, alteration of terrain permits, and wetland and shoreland permits. And yeah, and there was more talk about water resources, quality standards, and stream gauging, and historical and cultural history, and fish stocking, and natural resource inventory work by the towns. That was the extent of our meeting. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds great, actually. And also, too, I was just thinking about, you made reference to the 648,000 gallons
Yeah, that's
per
what
day.
I had.
And historically, there was like 17 towns that were historically reviewed as far as how much water they pull out. And it was like something like 648,000.
Well, this is going to be a city when they get done.
Yeah, they're pulling out the equivalent of what 17 towns did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's some concern about the river and, you know, the wildlife and the quality of the water and the amount. You know, we know that the town of Lincoln was on water restrictions well into this autumn.
Yeah, they were being progressive. I mean,
I don't think they are now. I think the river's come up quite a bit.
Yeah.
But that,
And that's what the in-stream flow thing is going to determine. Well, unfortunately, too, they don't look at how much water is being, sucked out of the aquifer. They're basically concerned about the river.
Yeah.
Well, the aquifer is like, you draw enough out of it, you're sucking the river water out because that's basically where it's coming from.
You're going to affect a lot of people's wells.
Yeah.
So they do have well, he's not a hydrogeologist, he's a geologist, Ethan Jennings, from Horizons Engineering up in Littleton.
Right. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I assume Economic Development Committee has not magically appeared.
No, Scott, any chance that's on your radar? I know you've got a lot going on. Any thoughts?
It is. I first need to meet with Frank. Frank has some important information in his office. It's just I haven't had the availability to get over there yet, but it is on the radar.
Great, thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Energy Commission, which we've
Yeah.
heard from
Not much. Nothing's
today.
going on.
Nothing's
They-
going
We're all
on.
set.
Barely doing anything over there.
Spin around.
Anything that was in addition to what we've been talking about?
Well, they've been talking about the street lights, and that's the replacement and, downsizing. They're gonna like eliminate some and then, use the updated LED lamps that we didn't have when the couple of phases were done prior to this current conservation, Energy Commission. So that's going on. And also, they were working with, well, at least Gale or whatever regarding the lights down by, the solar lights that you were going to test.
Right.
That wasn't really successful, or we're not really sure about the success of that.
Yeah, still working. We'll definitely need more lights down there, just trying to figure out
Yeah.
what that, income.
Or you were talking about also motion detectors too, maybe
Yep.
might consider that as well.
Yep.
On at least the senior center's lights and stuff, but good stuff.
Already, Mary Ann?
Am I already?
Yeah.
Oh,
For Chamber of Commerce?
So they met last Thursday. They're looking at their FY23 members' numbers. Right now, they're doing about 4 businesses a month, which is good. They need to stay on track with that. Really working hard within Plymouth as far as bringing people on board. They had they quite often do business after hours meetings. I think they try and go once a month, once every 6 weeks. They had a very successful one at Yama's, about 65 people, which is a lot of people.
For that place, yeah.
Yeah.
The next,
yeah.
the next
Yeah,
is,
it was. I didn't even know it would hold that many people.
Next
But
is
that
the
went
brewery.
really well. So they don't have, with the holidays, they don't have that out yet, what it's going to look like next month. They are still working on the travel and tourism event, which is scheduled for mid or beginning of January. They're struggling with one of their major sponsors, getting a major sponsor in. So kind of see where that lies right now. But they're expecting about 100 people there. It's the first one in a long time, so hopefully that will go well.
Good. All right, that ends our committee reports. Public comments.
So our next meeting is on the 19th? What's that, 19th?
I'd like to comment about our street lighting, that, we have a problem with Green Street, but I think one thing from Main Street is the crossing that's right out in front of the town hall. It's unusually dark because of the placement of our existing light system. And looking at some of the solar-powered lighting that the college has, I think we put a solar-powered pole right there in that little mini island just north of the common that could shine a light on that crosswalk that would help the visibility of seeing people coming. Every time I come into town, people, you can't really see them until the last, you see a shadow, but you don't see anything. And it's a dark spot right at the bus stop crosswalk. And I don't know if that's on the list of things to evaluate for lighting, but that I think is one, could use a solar-powered light system. Yeah.
Thanks, Frank.
I know we've had similar discussions for even the crosswalks going down Highland Street. In fact, tonight I'm coming to the meeting and there's students going across, and there are lights. There are lights on both sides, and you really can't see them.
I've
thought
struggled
there
with
was a
that personally too,
discussion.
on those crosswalks, and
Right.
I've never been able to understand why, but I have frequently come up to that crosswalk and been like, wow, there's a student in this crosswalk.
Yeah.
It's in dark. It was addressed darkly too and stuff, but
I was blaming it on my eyes getting older, but
well, I think
That too.
maybe too.
There's another location that I'm concerned about, and that's right at the bottom of Highland Street that crosses from, is it
Yamas,
Yamas? Across to where Peekaboo or...
Bowl,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
That's a dark dark area at night.
Surprisingly dark in all of, that's pretty much every point around the common.
You don't really see
Which
people
is
on that crosswalk at
funny.
night.
So conversations that I have with Plymouth State University on the Highland Street crosswalks is when Marlon and I meet on, I think it's December 19th, we're going to have that conversation because they're talking about possibly putting some LED lighting on their buildings, which would light up those crosswalks on Highland Street. Another one is concerned by the Rotary or by the roundabout down by Plymouth Furniture as well. So I've heard some conversation on that, but I will ensue a conversation with Alex and Nate and see what we can do about those areas, other areas.
That's great.
Maybe issuing flashlights.
There've been times when students were crossing from the bottom of High Street to get to Samahas, and I couldn't see them until they, wow,
Not that we need to wait until this happens, but I don't know as we have any incidents of anyone being hit, though.
well,
Which is thankful,
but
but
some close
We
calls.
have had
Yeah,
a
we've had
couple
some.
individuals hit in the crosswalk going from Yarmouth over to Peekaboo
oh,
that I'm
okay.
aware of.
Okay.
Over
Yeah, over a long period of time, yeah.
other crosswalks, I'm not familiar with anything, but again, I'll check with Alex and Nate to see
Yeah, maybe they know. Yeah.
what motor vehicle accidents in those areas.
Oh, I was just going to say something quick, but go ahead.
On this subject, the lighting, it seems like the current lighting is more, it's too high up, and the blinking lights are aimed at the driver, so they actually make it so you are less able to see a potential pedestrian, and any kind of lighting needs to be actually on the pedestrian who's on the side of the sidewalk or on the side of the road. And in addition, the more bright lights that are up, the darker the space between is. So it's not
Sure.
bright lighting that we need.
Yeah, good point.
So I'd noticed, Mike Ahern, I noticed that the lights have been darker, and I thought it was my eyes. But as I understood it, someone had said they were trying to mimic more candles the way Plymouth used to be, and I've heard that. I don't know if that's true, but definitely need more lighting. The way the cars drive as fast as they do, kids wearing darker clothes, out maybe later at night. Bill, you mentioned water withdrawal from the PEMI. Back in the mid-'90s to late 90s, the state did a survey, and they sent letters to everybody on the river. I got one, and I filled it out. So they have some information from that time. Maybe it's a starting point for going forward. On the solar array, a couple things. Still, I would like to see, I'm not against solar. I'm a little concerned about knowing a lot about it, that there's still nothing about a decommission cost. Who knows what it might cost? There'll be some salvage value of some of the metal if they could cut it up and whatever they could do with it and find someone that will haul it off. But there's going to be some cost in 35 years because there's going to be solar panels from every different town and direction taking up landfills, and that does leach into the water table, and it's going to be some sort of bladder they're going to have to be devising, and there will be some cost. That's my guess. We don't really fully know. The other thing is, when we were looking at doing this several years ago, electric costs were coming down, and so there was some concern that if electric rates went down, the opposite of making $1.2 million in 20 years or 35 years could be the opposite, and maybe the town could be on the hook to pay money rather than receive a benefit. So that was part of the selectmen's thinking, I believe.
So that was a kind of a different scenario where it was like a power purchase agreement, and they had a built-in riser that it was like 7% per year or something, assuming that electricity was going to go up higher than that, and it didn't.
Yeah, whereas this is a full purchase, and the town would own the array. So as soon as the array was paid off, we would own the array. So we certainly your point is correct that power prices could go down, but the most we would be on the hook for is $400,000. And any power we produce and sell back just carves into that cost.
And the concern that I have is we fought Northern Power, Select Board, just about everybody in town with the exception, I don't know, 3 people. We fought it. If that power coming from Canada had dropped into New Hampshire for our use, it could really affect the electric rates because we're the highest in the country.
It wasn't coming to New Hampshire.
Oh, I know it wasn't. But if it were, you may not see as much opposition because.
It's true.
So that could happen too. It's something to think about. But thank you for serving.
Thanks, Mike.
I anticipate that the consumption of electricity is just going to increase. It's just going to keep going up.
Yeah, the one thing that I have heard on that point, of course, is that as more solar projects get put in play, then there is more power being generated, in alternative ways. So there is that risk that if solar suddenly became very cheap, that you could see power prices go down. But I don't know as that's necessarily going to happen in a 20-year window.
So if I can address that, part of the Inflation Reduction Act is the big game changer, and 2 other parts of that are big payouts for rebates for residential energy, increasing energy efficiency, which does include switching from a less efficient appliance to a more efficient appliance, and also millions for the appliances themselves. It is anticipated that electric demand will go way, way up, along with the increase in the production of PV and other renewable energy sources for electricity.
All right. Any other public comments? We have nothing listed on our non-public as far as I can tell.
Correct.
Which is perhaps a first in almost 3 years of sitting on this board.
Oh, my God.
That'll be something.
Whoopee. Careful, Grace. Somebody else will bring something up. Anybody want to talk about parking? With that,
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, my God.
TED Talks.
None.
It's the TED Talks.
It's all because Ted wasn't here in person.
Ever heard the TED Talk?